Hello, good morning, and happy Wednesday, everybody. I'm Justin Nimergood, your host of the Real Estate Rockstars podcast. Today, I'm joined by a wonderful guest, Miss Tailor Titus from eXp Realty. Just a little bit about today's guest. She is absolutely passionate about guiding buyers, sellers, and investors through the real estate process with education, dedication, and a truly personalized approach. Tailor Titus is a licensed realtor with eXp Realty, serving clients across the greater Los Angeles and high desert regions of California. Her real estate journey is rooted in strong educational foundation. She completed 20 units of continuing education at Victor Valley College, earning a real estate apprentice certificate, and began her career interning with the local Victorville broker, an experience that quickly grew into an office manager role. Through years of hands-on involvement in transaction and operations, Tailor discovered her passion for residential real estate and client advocacy. Licensed in September 2023, Tailor brings a blend of knowledge, experience, and attention to detail to every transaction. She specializes in buyer representation, residential sales, and helping clients confidently navigate the complexities of buying, selling, and investing, always tailoring solutions to meet each client's unique goals. Known for her commitment and clear communication and seamless execution, Tailor focuses on making the real estate journey approachable, informed, and results-driven from start to finish. Without further ado, Tailor, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, we're excited to have you, Tailor. So that was a mouthful, obviously.
That was a lot.
It was a lot. Just simply in your own words, who's Tailor Titus for our audience and our subscribers out there?
Well, I'm a realtor out in the high desert region. I've been out here since 2005. And a little personal note is I planted my feet in the high desert because I grew up in foster care. And by the time I aged out, I was like, this is where we're at. We're not moving no more. And I just dug my heels into the ground and made it home. And I've grown to love the community, our business owners, my neighbors, friends, people that I've grown to grow up with. And now I work with them every day. And it's kind of like a little bit cliche, but a dream come true. I've just, got to make what I've always dreamed of a reality out here in the high desert region. And they've been very welcoming. And we've had a great time.
What a story you have. And you didn't even share that with me pre-show here. But I mean, coming up through the system like that had to have been tough. But, one thing that I constantly come across in different articles and success stories when you hear about these great entrepreneurs and these great successful business owners is they all had something growing up that just was tough, like beyond tough. And that ended up driving them to be the success that they are today. I'm sure you can pull from maybe that experience. And would you say that has kind of helped mold you into the success story that you are today?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge driver because my options were sink or swim. And I'm not a fan of sinking. So my only option was to swim and to figure out how to do that. Definitely.
Wow. I applaud you just taking the high road and making it happen, not making excuses, really making it happen. And again, kudos to you. So real estate is at an interesting time right now. At least out here in Texas right now, it's at least in the Dallas-Fort Worth market where I'm currently based. It's definitely a buyer's market. I know California is a little bit different, especially in the high desert region. What would you say to date? What has been your biggest failure, your biggest total fuck up, just like in real estate that you're like, oh my gosh, I just really messed that one up?
That one's a little hard because, generally, no one's perfect and I make mistakes every day. So it's a learning process. Anyone says that they're the bestest and, the greatest and, they'll get everything done. I mean, there's always learning. So I think my biggest fuck up is I get referred problem child deals, and I have this chip on my shoulder about it, about how I'm able to deal with all these different personalities and difficult people and difficult transactions because of how I grew up with so many different. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. And then it ends up being the worst nightmare ever. And I stress the whole time. I want to pull my hair out. I want to cancel the transaction. The money's not worth it. I think that's my biggest downfall is people like, hey, I got this person, but they're like this, this, and this. Do you think you can handle it? I'm like, send them over. And then I regret every minute of it.
Maybe a little bit of that hero complexity kind of going on.
Maybe.
Like, a little bit, just a little bit.
Maybe.
I think I suffer from that too. From the reason that you didn't really, I mean, you didn't overtly mention, but which is like, you know, you believe you can help and you can save everyone, right? Like you can save everyone out there. And the reality is you can't. They have to want the help. And you know, I struggle with really making sure I stand firmly in how I approach certain clients and making sure that the clients know that like they think they're the boss, that's fine, but they better heed my advice, right? Because we are the experts in our field. Do you ever suffer from some of that as well? Like
100%. And, you know, specifically when we're talking about this, my brain keeps going back to one client, obviously. And, you know, I've had to, it's not the news I want to deliver, but it's reality, and, you know, about the price of their home, my opinion on the sales strategy. And it might not be exactly what they want to hear, but if you're paying me 2 or 3 or 3.5% on a $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 home, which can be anywhere from $6,000 to $15,000. You know, that's a substantial chunk of money that you're paying me for my advice and, you know, my expertise. So why wouldn't you want to take that into consideration? And at the end of the day, my closing statement to them is, if you don't win, I don't win. If you don't get paid, I don't get paid. So that's the bottom line. You know, we're on the same path here.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Well said. Now we'll go ahead and flip the script for a second. We talked failure, but what about your greatest triumph so far?
You know, it's not necessarily real estate related. I guess somewhat is.
Doesn't have to be, by the way.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be. It can be totally non-related if you'd like.
My big one I like to fall back on, especially for first-time home buyers, and this is where my little niche comes in. Is where I love to help first-time home buyers, especially in this market when a lot of people don't think they can become homeowners. I had that same thought, and that was back in 2020 before we had the skyrocket prices. Just being a single mom on a single income, I didn't think I would ever own a home, you know, and then one day I did. I just didn't know, even working at a real estate office, I just didn't know what I didn't know until I tried and put together a game plan. And then I purchased a home all on my own in 2020 during the overbidding and the craziness and the fanatics, and, you know, was able to purchase a home. And I like sharing that story with a lot of people that don't think they can become a homeowner. You know, there's still homes, even in California, and we have our opinions about home prices in California, affordable homes. You know, and we can become homeowners. And I've helped several people overcome that obstacle. So that's a big one that I like.
Absolutely. I mean, any first-time home buyer, I think, remembers that moment, that memory of going through that first transaction. So you being a part of that, already you're a part of like something substantial for them, but also for yourself, right? It's a good challenge, because they don't know what they don't know. There's a huge, usually very steep educational curve. Sometimes their credit's messy, or there's financial obstacles that you got to help them work through in order to get ready to, you know, buy. There's so much of that. So kudos to you. I mean, it just says a lot about you, especially in the short time you've been doing it, that you've been able to find those little nuggets or niches, as you said, of success. So the real estate market right now is, it's doing all kinds of things, right? And I think, especially with the recent Trump, you know, announcements, and now we're seeing hopefully rates come down even further again, back to that sort of all-time low level, probably not, but back to a manageable level, probably. You know, what do you foresee that's going to come in the you know, the next couple of years as a result of these moves and these changes?
Well, I'd like to state that anyone who says they can predict the real estate market, it's not true. So all we can do is watch past data and watch current data trends and where it's trending and kind of go from there. What I have seen is that buyers are being a lot more careful. There was that big influx of home buyers. Everyone could be a home buyer, low interest rates, low home prices in 2020, and then it's been gradually creeping up. And although our home prices has kind of leveled out and come down slightly, in my opinion, they're still inflated.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see home prices coming down much more. But if interest rates do come back down even slightly, with every half a point, we get I think in the state, it's like 250,000 more buyers per county that come back into the market. That makes affordability for them. So, depending on how big the county is, et cetera, but so with every half a point, a whole point, I mean, in a large county, you can bring 1 million more buyers back into the market, because it could bring their payment anywhere from $500 to $1,000 lower a month. And now they meet the affordability limits where they can qualify for a loan. So, when you have two couples who are working full time and or a couple, one each working full time, and the mortgage payment's $4,000 a month on a $400,000 house, I'm sure anyone would be a lot more picky with where they're placing their money. And that's what we're seeing the slowdown right now. And a lot of people don't understand that sellers don't determine the home prices, buyers do. If buyers aren't paying, then you're not selling.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The market will bear what the market will bear. It's not what you think and wish and hope that your home will be valued at. Yeah, that's such a great point. And that's why I can't remember how many years ago it was, but there's actually a gal out your way. She's in Orange County, and Audra Lambert is her name. And I started following her on social media a while back. But one thing that she advised on that she does, and that I've obviously started to do as a result of her guidance, was every listing, she gets a pre-listing inspection and appraisal. And I know it's a little bit backwards, and some agents are like, well, why would you do that and whatnot? Well, here's why. Okay. Especially in a market like this where buyers are extra careful and where sellers are overly optimistic. It's like your house is actually only worth what it's worth. And the closest thing to an actual offer in hand is an appraisal, right? It's the next closest thing. So I started to do that years ago, and that was really helped me in terms of setting the proper expectations with my seller clients. It's like, that's fine. You want, $1 million for your house. If your house appraises for $1 million, let's go for it. But if your house appraises for 900,000 and you want $1 million, I'm sorry, it's probably not going to work out for you. So I couldn't agree with you more.
That's a huge benefit. And I highly recommend that if sellers are willing to do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say is probably your greatest superpower as an agent so far?
Being able to provide the proper education. Education is key. And when I say that, so my clients come from referrals and other agents who don't answer their phone or answer their questions. And that's my biggest feedback. How'd you hear about me? Well, you're the third agent I called down the list that answered the phone. Okay. And so, so I start by providing information and realistic information and education. Well, I never heard that before. And that's because maybe, it's not to trash other agents, but, the younger agents don't have as much experience, don't take the time, they're under a quota, whatever the reason is, they're moving fast, and I take that all the way from when I'm advising tenants that are looking for a rental all the way up into investors who are looking for 1031 exchanges.
Mhm.
And I continue my education by taking updated classes at our title company or what have you about things going on and what you can and cannot do. And that's the biggest thing I get is, Taylor walked me through the whole process, explained it every step of the way. I was so comfortable. There was no surprises. There was this and that. And so that's my biggest thing that I pride myself on, is because I never want someone to make a decision, whether it benefits me or not, based on the lack of information I provide.
Over communication at every turn.
Yeah.
Nice. That is definitely a superpower. I will say that. And the thing is, it's kind of unfortunate that we see the antithesis of that with other agents not being above board, I call it, or transparent and over communicate like we're talking about. And oftentimes it's because they're trying to be sneaky into their own benefit, but it'll backfire on you real quick. And I've seen people get their license pulled as a result of it. You have those things to worry about. So don't go down that path, right? You might feel good getting that quick payday, but that might be your last payday. So
yeah, and our industry has such a stigma already of being that sneaky. So we already have to get past that when we're talking to our clients. That's the first obstacle, that I'm not your regular realtor trying to just get you to sign a contract. Hear me out. If you can get past that, then you're probably pretty golden.
Absolutely. Well said. Very, very well said. So we're going to pivot now to kind of our final segment for the show today. This is where I ask you some fun zinger questions, as we talked about pre-show. This first one's this. All right, Taylor, it's your 80th birthday. Who's there? What's going on? Paint the picture for us of what's going on at your 80th birthday.
Kids are gone, living alone. Me and my best friend Dixie are probably in a blow-up hot tub drinking a glass of wine in the middle of my living room. That's always been the goal.
Blow-up hot tub in the middle of the living room, drinking a glass of wine in the hot tub.
Yeah, because we can. Yeah.
Oh, that is badass. That is badass. I think you're the first. Yeah, you're definitely the first one to say something like that. So that is amazing. I love it. Very, very original and unique. Very cool. All right, here's the second one for you.
Okay.
So let's imagine for a moment it's your last day on Earth. There's an Armageddon. There's a something's going to happen, and that's going to be it, right? But you have this ability to preserve 3 items in your time capsule, and those items will live on basically forever. All right. What are those items and why?
Oh, probably, I just revert back to my children, and I'm probably like a photo of them, because whoever finds it would deserve to know who they are, and probably just like a little story about them, because I have 3 amazing kids, one who's not biologically mine, but I've had him for a long time. And let's see, the 2 other items. Let's see, a Nokia phone.
A Nokia phone.
Phone from the 90s, because it's indestructible.
that Zach Morris from what was that show growing up? Not Beverly Hills 90210. Zach Moore. They call it the Zach Morris phone.
Yeah, yeah. The one you play Snake on.
Yeah.
So definitely one of those, indestructible. Armageddon couldn't take it out. And I don't know. A third one. I'm going to say something probably cliche. Maybe some vegetable seeds. I don't know. But you need the Nokia phone. I don't know what for yet, but I'm sure you'll need it.
Need the Nokia phone. We're going to call back in time with the Nokia phone.
That'll come in handy.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. Here's the final one for you. This one's a little bit easier, but it's still fun. So what is your definition of a real estate rock star?
My definition of a real estate rock star is someone who is client oriented. And what I mean by that is each client is different. And if you're able to adapt and adjust to each client's needs, because everyone's different, I call it tailoring to the real estate needs. And
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. And being able to help each client individually, and definitely principles before personalities, and also being able to realize maybe not every client's for you, and being big enough to refer them out with someone they might work better with, just to keep that, that momentum.
The momentum, yeah. That's the hardest thing to do, is turning clients down or firing clients, as I like to say.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But sometimes you got to do it. There you have it, folks. Miss Tailor Titus with an absolute masterclass today. If you didn't tune in, make sure you do. Watch the recording. You're going to get a lot out of it, especially if you're in this space. If you're an agent, if you're a younger agent, you'll get a lot out of it. And heck, if you're not an agent, but you're in the industry, there's always nuggets of wisdom to pull out. So again, Tailor, thank you so much for coming on the show with us today. Just out of curiosity, where can our listeners and subscribers connect with you?
I'm always available by my cell, 760-818-3218. I am on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook under Team Titus HD for High Desert. And also my website, www.tailormaderealestate.com.
TailorMade, and it's TAILOR, TailorMade, like a tailor, like a suit or dress tailor. Yeah. So very unique spelling of the name, by the way, which I love.
It worked out well.
I've seen it that way, to be honest. So very cool. There you have it, folks. Another wonderful episode for us here on the Real Estate Rockstars podcast. I am Justin Nimergood, your host. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same place. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you.